This Samsung TV is having problems turning on. And it takes like 20 to 30 times to turn it on, and it'll finally turn on. Model number is LN52B750U1F. Let's take it apart. I'm going to take some screws off the back here, obviously. All these screws here. You got to take them off. Now, if you had a stand, you have to take these screws here off as well. And take these screws here, and this screw here. So let's get that all taken off. The first thing you want to do when you take this off is you want to make sure you have it on something soft. This is just a camping pad, and what I've used in the past is my bed. Currently, my wife is sleeping in my bed, so I can't use it. I want to just wake her up in the morning. So I'm using a camping pad on outside, enjoying some fresh air, and that's what we're doing. So make sure you get something on this soft so you don't scratch the screen. Okay? I wanted to tell you that. Okay, let's get this taken apart. For this, you're going to need a kit. You can buy a kit online. But I'll take it apart and we'll go through and see what capacitors are probably bad on this. You can also need soldering iron and some solder and some wire cutters and toothpick. We'll get there. And I'll show you how to do all that in this video. And I'm going to speed up this video here so you're not sitting here waiting 20 minutes for me to take this all apart. So we're taking the back off, and here's your power supply. This is what you're going to be looking for. I can show you the other circuitry. There's a main board right there, and your other main board. This is the T-Con board, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So that's nothing that we really need to worry about. This is the board we really want to worry about. Let's say back in 2001 to 2008, there was a guy in China, and he thought he was going to be smart and steal the ingredients for making capacitors. And he sold this ingredient to, well, actually, he made these capacitors and sold it to many different companies. You see, that ingredient didn't work well. So that's what's wrong with this. So that is a 1200 microfarad 10 volt capacitor. And I'm not certain what these are right here. But there are abundance of capacitors here. Now, if you have this off like this, what you want to do is take and get like a little paintbrush or something to blow off this dust. While you're in, you might as well clean it up. So let's get to taking it apart. You have several screws here you have to do, and little connections like this. You don't want to break these wires. These wires go to a little bulb. I call it little, but it's really linked to your TV, and it has many bulbs. This probably has 35 bulbs in it right here. Be a fluorescent bulb. This is your high voltage side right here. So not only are we going to be looking at replacing capacitors, we're also going to be looking at solder joints, because you don't want to have bad solder joints on these transformers here. It's basically like a flyback section. Definitely high voltage. Don't touch it while it's on. So it's very simple to take and disconnect connectors. And we're going to take and remove the screws here, and we'll get through starting to change the capacitors. Now you'll see on this power supply, there are many capacitors here. You see that? These right here are all capacitors, electrolytic. Now you see the goop coming out of it as well, and how it's peaked. It's supposed to be flat. That's all we have to do today is changing those capacitors. And it's a very simple process. What I like to do, and I tell everybody, is get toothpicks. Toothpicks, once you heat these holes up and you peel them out, the toothpick will, you shove it in the hole after you heat it, it'll widen that hole so you don't have to use a solder wick or solder braid. Very simple process. So let's get started on it. The two main ones that are bad are the 1200 microfarad. And what I do is I heat up one side. I gotta locate the part. I heat up one side, and it's gonna be this guy right here. And I'll pull it towards me. And you can't see it from where you're at, but I'm actually pushing it this way. And then when I heat the other side, I'll push this towards you. And I rock this back and forth until this part comes out. And then once I know that the one side is completely out, I will take and just pull it out. And there you go. And I'll do this same process back and forth until I'm happy with all the capacitors that are bad or out of the circuit. Okay, so to avoid having a very extremely long video of simple repair of TV, I'm going to just do a quick little video for you and show you about the toothpick. Let me zoom in and hopefully you'll be able to see where I'm at. Let's see, where am I at? It should be up here. There we go. Up here somewhere. Yep. Okay. So say you have a hole. This hole here is filled in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this hole up with a soldering iron. And I'm going to take the toothpick and I'm just going to jam it in that hole. And like I said, it just pushes away the solder. And I twist while I do it. And now your hole's open again. Same one with this guy. Same process. And it's just repeat and do it over and over again. That's all you do. Okay? That simple. And there you go. You put the capacitors in. Gotta know the, positive, negative, and all that. If you're watching this video, you should already know about electrolytic capacitors and its positive and negative on the capacitor itself. If you don't know, this little band right here means it is negative on this side, and nothing on that side means it is going to be your positive. Okay, so we sent a bunch of capacitors, and we'll review those later. I can take and turn around and do the same thing. On power supplies, you'll notice that they have that white side. You see that it's positive, and then you have the white side. That white grid side, it's always going to be your negative side, unless the engineer doesn't know what he's doing. Alright. Put the long lead into the capacitor, have the capacitor into the circuit board, and then all I do from here is I will take and I need to widen this out so I can see. From here I just take and I just bend the leads over just like that. That's all I do to hold it in place. This capacitor is a little bit taller than the other one, so I'm a little concerned about that. Oh, because I'm using the wrong one apparently. Maybe so. Yes, so always make sure to look at the components. There's a 10 volt and a 25 volt. I'm using the wrong one. There we go. Now we're going to be back in business here. When you're replacing capacitors, don't use just the standard, what they give you, 10 volt. Go higher than the standard 10 volt. You want to usually go, if it's a 10 volt capacitor, go with 25. It's fine. Okay, so now we're back in business. And I kind of want to match that flat because these are smaller and I don't want them to float. I mean, soldering. If you ever soldered anything in your life, you know how to solder, and I'm not going to have to surely show you how to do that, but It's going to be all kinds of electronic engineer guys out there yelling at me like, "Oh, you're not doing it right." I know, it's okay. I haven't had any TVs in the last 15 years fail on me because of my soldering, and that's just the way it is. Okay, there you go. TV is officially fixed. Those two components are the only two problems with this. Now, I can be the cheap guy and just replace just two parts and not do anything further, but like I said, I'm not going to do that on film. I'm going to replace the other capacitors, and you don't have to watch this very boring video any further. I'll skip to the part where you see me turn it on, and it works, and everybody's happy. Also, make sure you cut your leads off. Don't ever forget those, folks. You do that, and you push it against that metal base of the TV set. Oh boy, you're gonna know something's gonna happen soon. And from my experience, I didn't do that with a TV set, but I have done that with I worked on door controllers, automatic door controllers, and boy, oh boy, they did not like that excitement. I did need a new pair of cutters, man. They're old and not working well. All right, back to the TV. All right, so now we're going to be testing it. Usually they can get a remote controller from the end user. So today we didn't. This is one of them fancy ones that require you to touch the screen for it to turn on. The power button's over here. Might require. Nope, I see it. That's the you can't see it out here, but HDMI 4 is on over here. Hey, so it turned on. That's good. You can hear the audio. Awesome. It's good to go.